We're going to talk about a basketball game, Jay. The Oklahoma Sooners had it. They had it. They're this close. Coming up next, you're on Locked On Sooners.
You are Locked On Sooners, your daily podcast on the Oklahoma Sooners. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thanks for making Locked On Sooners your first listen every single day. Shout out to all the everydayers out there tuning in. Subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcasts. We're free and available on all podcast platforms. Jay, the Oklahoma Sooners had an 18-point lead in the second half. They were up still pretty significantly with like 8.5 to play. They were up 70-59, and they got outscored 18-2 over a 6-minute stretch to fall behind and lose their lead. Still had a chance at the end, but just fell short. Literally, Jeremiah Fears with a 1-and-1 opportunity, misses the front half of it. A chance where he could have put Oklahoma up 3 in the closing minutes, or closing seconds, really. And again, comes up short. Man, it's just the thrill of victory, the agony of defeat, all in the span of about, 12 minutes of basketball action.
Is it time to have a conversation about Porter? Is it time?
A lot of people have been wanting to have that conversation for a while.
Because it's been 3 years of him, and when it comes to conference play, this is kind of what things look like. And I'm not the biggest college basketball guy until closer to March. Usually around conference tournament time is when I usually really tune in and try to figure out who the guys are that's going to end up prepared for the NBA draft. And Jeremiah Fears was one of those names that was even being floated around as a top 5 pick in the draft. A buddy of mine hit me up in regards to it, and I told him, I was like, pump the brakes. We'll say top 15 for right now. He's like, oh, well, this outlet's saying top 5. This one's saying top 3. Pump the brakes, top 15. His last 2 games, he's probably dropped into the top 15 at this point. He hasn't shown us anything here going into conference play. Like the Alabama game this weekend was very embarrassing. I'm kind of glad that we didn't actually get and talk about it, John, because I was kind of like, this is gross. He finished the game 13 points, 4 for 8 from the field, 1 for 3 from 3. Now, granted, Bryson Gooden, he's cooking. He's making them threes like crazy. Out of nowhere. He had, 9 for 11 from 3? He wasn't really shooting much at the end of the game either. It felt like, and you had texted me this, it felt like nobody wanted to shoot the ball. Like everybody was scared to put up a bucket. The defense started to slack. They got outscored 50-39 in the second half. I didn't even know what was going on in this. I'm just looking like, what are we doing? Like, it didn't feel like there was much of a flow to the offense. Did they even run any plays? I don't know. All I know is people need to stop being scared of shooting the ball just because you're playing SEC basketball. You need to get back out there and start cooking some folks.
Yeah, and listen, Jeremiah Fears, Jalen Moore, Bryson Goodine, all 3 of them. I felt like they all were trying to just let somebody else have the ball in the final minutes. Like that's not what you need from guys that like Goodine, who is having a career night. The dude needs to want the ball. Jalen Moore, he's one of your best players. He's been one of your best players for the last year. He's got to want the ball. Jeremiah Fears, if you're going to be a lottery pick and a top 5 selection in the NBA draft, my dude, you got to want the ball. And maybe, listen, I'm not sure, but it looked like they were tired at the end of the game. Like Texas A&M absolutely wore them down over the final 10 minutes. And that's why they were able to cut into that lead. At the same time, like that's crunch time. You've got to kind of pick yourself up. And listen, Fears made a great contested shot in the lane to kind of give Oklahoma a chance there in the final couple minutes. But the fact that you let it get to that point after having an 18-point lead, it just shows Porter Moser's team has got a lot to prove still. This is not by any stretch of the imagination a team that looks SEC ready, a team that looks like it's going to make a tournament appearance. You've got to be able to win these games. You've got to close that game out. And again, you had a chance. You had, your best player at the free throw line with about 30 seconds left and a chance at a 1-on-1. He hits the first one, you're up 2. He doesn't even hit the first one. And that's the part where like Jay Fears, man, my dude, that's where you got to get Kobe. You got to take that Mamba mentality, got to come in clutch. And That I just need more of that from my guy. Now, again, he's a young dude, should be playing high school basketball still. He's going up against some grown men over on the other side of the thing. He's going to grow up really quickly during SEC play. And if they're able to respond from this and learn from these things, they'll be a better team down the stretch. But man, this is a tough loss to swallow.
It is, especially when you're up 70-59. You have a big lead, and Texas A&M takes the lead 71-70. It's their first lead since it was 6-5 in the beginning of the game. So you've been in command for the majority of the game. The ESPN probability deal is literally all Oklahoma, then all of a sudden, drops down Texas A&M. And it's like, oh, guys, what do we do? How do you let this happen to you in this game? And like you said, the one thing you want out of Jeremiah Fears is you want him to take the ball, take control of the game. I think you need to take control of it a little bit sooner. Once you start feeling that lead slip away, either him or Moore needs to grab the ball and say, let me get going. Goodeye needs to find a way to get himself open to get another shot up. Keep those threes raining. You're 9-4-11. Why not keep going after him or whatnot? I'll give it to Fears at the end of the game that he was the one that took it at the top of the key and tried to drive it in and get some points. But, man, everybody forgot how to dribble. And it kept bouncing off the side of their foot, off their knee. They keep falling to the ground. Next thing you know, you're getting tied up. Moore gets the rebound, and he turns. And all of a sudden, Coleman from A&M grabs the ball and gets a tie-up, gives A&M the ball right back. And it's like, oh, my goodness. It's like the awareness wasn't there. No one's peripheral vision was working, nor their handles was working in this game. Just a sloppy game. And Porter's got to do something about it. This is what killed me, though, John. 18 turnovers for the Sooners in this game. A&M had 9. That will make you lose every single time. When you look at the box score, and box score is a great way to get an understanding of what you think the game may have went to. That you can go back and watch and see what the actual result was. Nah, this one literally told you everything. Fouls were about even. We shot 58% from 3, 54% from the field, while A&M was 44% from the field and 39% from 3. If I told you that, you'd say, how many points did Oklahoma win by? That would be your first guess. Then A&M shot 77% from the free throw line, only making 17 free throws, and we made 14. And I told you we hit 82% of our free throws. John, you would have asked me how many points did Oklahoma win by? It had to be close to double digits, right? Especially if you're out shooting them that well. No, not at all. Not even close. This was 36 points in the paint to 20.
Got out-rebounded on the offensive glass by 9.
Yes, 17-8.
As good as Bryson Goodine was, Zurich Phelps was just as good. And in crunch time, in the final 5 minutes, the dude was lights out. Texas A&M hit so many shots with a guy's hand in their face that I thought they were out there playing ball personally. They were playing some street ball, wanting to put it in somebody's face and tell them about it. Zurich Phelps, dude, that dude was awesome tonight.
He was. But John, 7 blocks to no blocks. Who do you think led the game in blocks?
Oklahoma.
That's the crazy part. It's like everything was lined up perfectly for the Sooners in this game. This felt like one of the football games. It really did. That's what it felt like. It felt like this past season, man. It's just, you can't start the season off 13-2 and then make everybody feel like, yep, we about to be 13-13 really, really soon. Because that's exactly what everybody's feeling like right now. They're like, this team's going to end up 13-13 in the next 2 weeks.
Yeah, and it's not going to get any easier because they're going on the road and they're going to face the Georgia Bulldogs, which, listen, they're not a ranked team currently, but they're going to be tough. They're going to be a tough team. They've done some interesting things so far this season. I know they've got a big win. I'm trying to pull their schedule up really quickly. They're 1-1 in conference play. And
that Kentucky win, wasn't it? Was it Kentucky that they played recently?
Kentucky. They beat number 6 Kentucky.
They blasted number 6 Kentucky. I mean, this ain't
John
Calipari's Kentucky anymore.
Mark Pope's a good ball coach, though. Mark Pope in Kentucky's a good ball coach. The SEC, the top of the SEC has just been wacky because Tennessee got dominated by 20-something or 30-something points by Florida. Auburn hung in there, barely hung on against Texas, who has been terrible this year. So it's going to be up for grabs. Nothing is over as far as Oklahoma Sooners basketball is concerned. So don't get it twisted. It's just, this was a really, really disappointing loss. This was a great opportunity to erase the memory of the Alabama game and get a good, really strong bounce back win. And you didn't do it. You had it. It was in your grasp. You let it slip right through your fingers. And now Oklahoma sits at 13-2 and 0-2 in SEC play. Again, with that road trip to Athens, Georgia to face the Bulldogs. But that's going to do it for today's episode of Locked On Sooners. Thanks so much for tuning in, being a part of the show. Subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcasts. We're free and available on all podcast platforms and on YouTube. So hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell to let you know when new episodes drop. Follow Jay at Unfair Sports. Go check out his channel over on YouTube, Unfair Sports as well. Follow me at John9Williams. You can read my work covering the Sooners over at SoonersWire.com. The show is at Locked On Sooners on TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, wherever you use social media. But until next time, he's Jay Smith. I'm John Williams. We'll talk to you then. Boomer.
Sooner.